I'm Nathan, and I'd rather be board gaming, and I'm gonna take a look at this game, Asgard's Chosen. Now I was able to pick this up from Miniature Market for about $10.50. Now as of this video, they're showing they're out of stock, but you can still find this on Amazon for around 20, and when you catch it on sale, you can probably get it for 15. But it looks interesting because it is a game for both competitive and cooperative play. And it says right on the box for 1 to 4 players. So it has solo mode, it has co-op mode, it has competitive mode. So if it's any good, it's going to have lots of replay potential. So I'm going to do a playthrough of the solo mode, check it out. So see what you think. Okay, so we have the game, and something I like to do when I have the opportunity is to do an unboxing for everyone. So all I've done is remove the shrink wrap, and okay, we have this here, and I had heard about this and read up on it, but there is a misprint on one of the tiles. It's the Scrub Bog tile, and this goes on the bog side, and it's a sticker, so you can cut this out. At least they were able to catch it soon enough, so that's not a huge deal. Let's see, then we have this manual. Very colorful, full of color pictures. Let's see. Here's the scrubs lands. They're yellow, and the bogs. And so all bogs apparently are supposed to have water, and they misprinted one of them. So we'll be able to find that. And yeah, I think I see it right there. Picture with the card breakdown. That's always helpful instead of just talking about it. Looks like they even have examples of turns, and so I really like this. I really like the manual. Is very, from first glance, very detailed, so I like that. And here we have a towel set. Here's some land towels. If you notice, it's not printed exactly perfectly, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. For a $10 game, I'm not going to complain at all because the quality seems fine. It's that standard thickness, so yeah, good and thick. I like that. And here's some other icon towels, and I bet it's this one here because here's a bog and it has the water symbol. Here's a bog that has the fire symbol. And so there's the scrub and the bog. So I bet it's this one right here. But I will make sure, double check before I apply that sticker. And here's another punch out. Very similar. Some land tiles and some icons. And then I like this. Let's see. It's okay. It's a little flimsy, but that's okay. That's okay because it's going to be in the box, but that will leave the. There's a lot of gap here, which is getting a little strange. I don't know. So it's going to leave the box a little soft, but that's not a big deal because I really like this insert. We've got 2 decks of cards. Okay. And they've got places to store those. And then let's see, we have some, I don't know if these are territory markers or goods or what, but we got those. And then we have a few meeples, 2 in each color. So possibly a chieftain and then a warrior or worker, or not sure. But there we go. I'm liking that insert. And let me see. So those fit down in there fine. There's a place here. I guess you could put a die if you needed to or something. But yeah, there we go. So a little bit of extra space in the box. They didn't have to, do that. But I do like the insert. All right, there you go. So this is the tile. I went through all the tiles, and all the symbols are correct according to this is actually wind, not fire, but they're correct according to the terrain except for this one. And this is not a sticker like you can peel. So I've got my glue. I'm going to lightly spray the back of this and put this on, and line this up as best I can with the diagram in the background, and it'll show up just a little bit, but not bad. It'll fix it well enough. So there it is, and the only problem is that as I even took something else and laid over top of this and tried to press it and then line it up, and I pulled a little bit of the paint off, it just touching it wore the paint off. But oh well, if I have to, I can get a black marker or ink pen and redraw the little river or waterway, but it's fine. It does what it needs to do to fix it. So we'll try to run through some of this setup really quickly. I was right with my first initial thought. This is a first player token, but there's two of them. I guess they had the space on the punch, so won't need those in the solo game. You have a male and female hero that is represented by the female and the male. And these are indeed territory markers. All of these represent like towns. These are their flags, or like you can see it looks kind of like walls and buildings and stuff, and all of them are a little different design, but they are game mechanically the same. They are just a town. Then the setup, we look for the 3 land tiles that have this symbol on them, and then we draw 4 more. And the setup for the solo play is the same as the 2. So here is one. I'll just zoom in there. You can see the hammer icon if it'll focus. So this is one of 3, and you always use the 3 starting tiles and then a certain number of tiles depending on the number of players. So I'll just place this here, and then I grab a town token. It cannot go here because it is only touching one land type, one land mass. So the first initial startup setup is always like this. So now when I flip one, I could do this and see it's touching 1, 2. This is touching 1, 2. Or I could do that. Or I could come down here because it's touching 1, 2, 3. So however I want to do it, I think I'm just going to do something similar to this. Okay. And so I'm supposed to lay a tile and put a town. So I will lay a tile and put a town. Now this is touching 2, so I can put 1 here. And let's go up here and do that and put a town here. Go up here and do the same. And let's see. Let's just go ahead and do that. And this new town cannot go here because that's one land type, touching 1. So I need to go down here somewhere. So let's put it over here. Why not? Put this here. And let's see if I have done that correctly according to the instructions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 of each with a 2-player game or in the solo game. Now let's take a look at some of the cards that we'll be needing to play with. So this game does have some deck building in it, and each player will have its own same set of 10 Norse gods, and they each have a symbol here. There's one that looks like a snowflake, one that looks like a wagon wheel sunburst. There's one that looks similar to that hammer, and then I have this one. I just chose this one in the red color. These symbols do not match or correspond to a particular color. I just chose these, And then I will need the land marker tokens of a neutral color. So every player will have the same set of 10 cards for the heroes or the gods. Here we have some creatures. Now you'll be able to recruit these creatures to fight for you or use their special abilities. There was a small error I found in the instruction manual. It said there should be 90 with this yellowish goldish border, and it has like a wolf or something there in the corner. And then when you get to the back of the stack, they turn to this bluish silver color, and it's hard to see, but here's the face of a witch and her hair flowing. But the number in the book is incorrect. I believe there's actually 36 of these, so that means there's only 84 of these. Just separate them by color. That's all you need to do. This will start the round 1 of the game deck, and this is deck 2. Then we have some items that will be able to be acquired, and it's the same thing. You have so many of those, and then so many of these. Here are the barrows. This will come into play as we start sacrificing cards. This is the same both sides, and it tells you put items on this side, creatures on this side, and so when we need to gain a benefit from sacrificing cards, they will go next to this. Then we have some enchanted items, and we have the same thing. We have the reddish, bronzish, goldish colored for the first part of the game, then this. Then we have these event cards. Okay, different things will happen in the game. Do the same thing, separate those. Now, let me go back to the items now that I've shown you the decks. Okay, these have a number 5 in the corner. It looks like a 5. I think it's supposed to be S for starting. These, if you're wanting to, you can let each player start with 1 weapon, and so there's 4 swords and everyone can get one. So there is another S. So I will pull those aside, and then the rest of these decks, separated by color. This one will just be off to the side. So in the solo game, you are to take all of these starting items. We have regular items and enchanted items. These can only be acquired if you are visiting an enchanted lands, and it is also in the Tish or the market to muster it. So I get one of these for free, and looking at this one, it is the enchanted item, the Wid Veristis. So apologize for the pronunciation, but it has a healing salve, so I can discard to muster any 1 card from the barrows into my hand, or I can interrupt to play immediately to cancel 1 terrain ability. And that's during combat. And this says 1 card from the barrow, so I could choose an item or a monster that has been sacrificed to the barrows and put it immediately into my hand just by discarding this. So getting this early in the game will help me not worry about sacrificing items and creatures if I have to. And so we'll try this. We'll see how this goes. The rest of these will go into the starting deck 1 shuffled in. Here I have deck 1. I've shuffled it. And deck 2, I'll just set this off to the side. This will not be used yet. And I will set up the Tish here, or the market. Let's see what that looks like. So here we have the monsters, items, and events into this deck. So I simply put 4 cards here, 4 cards above it. Now, since an event came up during the setup phase, we ignore it. We will simply banish it, discard it, put it out of the game. And let me refill this spot. Now, when you acquire an item from the Tish or the market, you can only acquire it from the bottom row. So if I were to muster this well, he's a Heel Svartafar, but he's like a dark elf. Pretty cool artwork. Okay. If I were to muster him, add him to my deck, this will slide down, and then we refill from the top of the deck. So in a normal game, there are two ways the game can end. When you run through the first deck, and you have voids here that you need to fill, you grab the second deck. When this runs out, you shuffle any of the Tier 2 cards that might be in the banished discard pile, like over here with this event. You shuffle them up just to fill up the voids, and then you end that round and the game is over. And in a normal game, whoever had appeased the most gods would win, and there are some tiebreakers. But in the solo game, that can trigger the end of the game and you will lose. The only other way is to appease 7 gods before that happens. But there is the starting market. I also take the male and female hero tokens from one of the other colors I'm not using. I will put the male here and the female here according to the rules. Now if you want it, you could possibly just have a 4-sided die and roll the die. But during the muster phase, the AI, the bot, whatever you want to call it, will muster this card, remove it from the game. Okay? Then I will move it here and flip this and flip this one over. And this shows that they will go after this card next. So this card is gone. This would slide down and we fill. If I choose, if this is the card I really want, I can go after it. No problem. And then I get this card, this slides down, and you just repeat the process. So you have to kind of plan ahead. Would I rather lose this card or this card? And vice versa. And then when an event card comes up, like the one we discarded, you simply move these just to kind of randomize it. Now that we have the main part of the board and the Tish set up to market, you take this event that was drawn and discarded, and now we're going to shuffle it back into the deck. I do like these cards. I haven't mentioned this, but they have white borders on both sides, and they have the same kind of feel as like a playing deck of cards. So they do shuffle well, feel well, and you don't have to worry so much about scuffing them up because of the white edges. They are a little thin and they are a little small, but they do well. Then I have 2 different colors. I've decided to do that because I have 5 lands. You look for the lands that have that hammer symbol, and you put 1 token in each of those starting lands, and here's the other, and then 1 on each of, let's do this, the towns that touch any of those lands. So 1 there, 1 in this town, and 1 in this town. That left me with 5 lands, and there's only 9 of each color, so I went with 2 colors. These just represent territories occupied by enemy forces that I will have to deal with during the game. It gives them a little strength when I try to attack those lands. Then here is the barrows. I'll just set this off to the side. I don't know that it'll show up in the camera. If I have to, I will zoom in on that later to show what is going on there. These are magical lands, these purple ones. Let me see if I can show. This one here is a fairy ring. You notice it has somebody standing under this little temple thing, archway. In the book, it does say that those lands are so powerful and so magical that mere mortals cannot control and contain the power, so you can never put a property territory marker in there saying that you own that land. But you can take one of your heroes there inside to simply acquire some temporary powers in those lands. The rest of the lands, the territories, these different land types and the towns you can gain ownership of throughout the game. So we have the market ready. We have the initial board setup ready. I put my item that I chose in my deck and shuffled it. And I think that we are ready to play. So, hope you've enjoyed the initial unboxing and setup, and come and join me for the solo playthrough.